Welcome back to another conference tournament prediction video. Today we are doing the Big East, and this conference will get a couple tournament teams in. There's a few bubble teams here to look at, and I think there's definitely some sleeper teams in this conference as well. They also have the back-to-back defending national champions as the 3 seed right there. That is, of course, Uconn. But we're going to go ahead and get started real quick, though. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Check out our previous conference tournament prediction videos. Once you're done with this one, we've done the Mountain West, the A10, the American, the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC. Later today, we're doing the Big 10, and we're almost done. We got like 2 or 3 or 4 more, I think. Very few left, so stay tuned for those. Turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss when those do drop. But with that being said, in the 8-9 game, Providence versus Butler. I'm really not a fan of either of these teams, to be honest with you. Providence has been really struggling as of recently, though. They've lost 5 games in a row. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games. That doesn't look appealing at all to me. Against Butler this season, they split the season series. I mean, both these teams really aren't that strong, if we're being honest. Butler at least has a top 40 offense. Providence is outside of the top 100 in Torvik. They have a horrible turnover differential. Butler also turns it over a lot, but I think they shoot well enough from 3. They have a pretty solid offense, which I think is good enough to get past Providence here. And like I said, Providence has just been abysmal as of late. In the 7-10 game, Georgetown versus DePaul. DePaul is just, I mean, they're just always at the bottom of this conference, and it's just, it is how it is. They actually shoot pretty well from 3, though, this season, which I guess is something to look at, but they turn the ball over a lot. They're ranked 121 in KenPom. I mean, they're behind teams like North Dakota State, Northern Colorado, Utah Valley, Washington, who has been the worst team in the Big Ten all season. This DePaul team just once again is not very strong. Georgetown, on the other hand, also not too great, but I think they're better than DePaul at least. Georgetown is ranked 94th in Torvik. They have a top 65 defense. And you know, I just think they're overall the better team. They played a pretty solid pace as well. Villanova versus Seton Hall, kind of the same thing here. I mean, Seton Hall has just been, they've been worse than DePaul, which, you know, it's pretty hard to do. But they're 7-24, 2-18 in conference. Seton Hall has been just an absolute train wreck this season. I think Villanova, if they, I mean, well, they're probably outside of the bubble right now. I think that's fair to say. They've got a lot of work to do. They may need to win this whole conference to get in. So, with that being said, this is a must-win game. I don't think there's any world they lose this one. Back up to the top, though, St. John's versus Butler. Rick Pitino, this is going to be played in Madison Square Garden, I believe. I don't see Butler taking down St. John's. St. John's has been virtually unbeatable in this conference. They're 18-2, 27-4 on the season, and they have like 4 losses by combined like 9 points or something ridiculous like that. One of the best defenses in the country. I don't see a world where Butler wins. St. John's will, at the very least, be in the semifinals. I can guarantee that. Xavier versus Marquette. This is a very interesting game because I was waiting for this tournament to come out. I was like, Xavier's going to be my team. And then I saw they got Marquette in the first round, and I was like, man, that's a hard matchup for Xavier. You know, Marquette is a really, really strong team. In the season series, they split, both of them winning by 2 points in the games they won. Cam Jones taking on Zach Freemantle for Xavier. The thing about Xavier, though, is recently they've been absolutely lights out. They've won 7 games in a row. Marquette has been, on the other hand, a little bit shaky. I honestly think Marquette is probably objectively the better team, but Marquette's lost 3 of their last 5. Xavier's won 7 in a row. They split the season series, and it's not like Xavier's that far behind Marquette. They also, with a win over Marquette, would probably get into the tournament. With a loss here, I think there's a good chance they drop out of the bubble. If they're even already in right now, I mean, they're right there on the edge. I think this is more of a must-win game for Xavier than Marquette. I think Xavier's playing better than Marquette right now. I think they are, again, not too far behind. They're ranked 36th in Torvik compared to Marquette at 27. Marquette does take care of the ball pretty well, but so does Xavier. That's not too big of an issue here. I like Xavier to get it done. I think they're playing better right now. Marquette has been a little bit shaky recently. Xavier has one of the best 3-point percentages as a team as well. I like that for an upset. Being able to shoot the three is always huge. And yes, Marquette, very talented team. Again, probably objectively the better team, but I like Xavier with the way they're playing right now. In the 2-7 game, Creighton versus Georgetown, I actually do think Georgetown could be interesting. Maybe a team to look at. Micah Peavy, 17 points per game. They actually have some pretty solid guard play, but I think overall Creighton's the better team. This was a team that's been pretty up and down this season, but they've kind of figured it out late in the season. Stephen Ashworth has really stepped up his game this year, and Ryan Kalkbrenner is obviously once again very, very strong. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. Granted, it was against some lower tier teams, but against Georgetown this season, they did win the most recent matchup. Georgetown actually beat them. They actually blew them out a lot earlier in the season, but that was a while back. I think Creighton's a different team now. They've pretty much split with all the good teams in this conference. I think Creighton moves on. And then Uconn versus Villanova. Now, this game is very, very interesting. Villanova is one of those teams that you just cannot figure out. I'm going to be honest. They've won 3 of their last 4. They've been playing solid. And recently they just beat Marquette by 15. They also have a win over St. John's. They also, they also have a win over Uconn a lot earlier in the season. They've played in Creighton fairly well. They have a 1-point loss to Maryland in the non-conference, but they also have a loss to Columbia, a loss to St. Joseph's, who I think is a okay team, a loss to Georgetown, though, a loss to Providence. They actually got swept by Georgetown. I mean, Villanova, you just can't figure it out. Now, they have one of the best players in the country in Eric Dixon, who's averaging a whopping 23.6 points per game. That is absolutely ridiculous. Torvik-wise, they're actually not terrible. 51st. They're top 20 in offensive efficiency, but they play at such a slow pace. So does Uconn. Now, Villanova could very well go out and win this game, but I just feel like they turn it over too much. They're too inconsistent. They do shoot the 3 very well. I will say that. So that gives me some hope in this upset. And I think Uconn and Villanova are similar teams, but I think Uconn just does everything Villanova does a little bit better. And I just trust Dan Hurley to not lose in the first round of the conference tournament. Although Villanova could very well win this game, and Villanova could very well get hot. I mean, Villanova at their best is one of the best teams in this conference. You could argue Villanova at their best can beat anyone here, but I just think consistency-wise, I gotta go Uconn. I just trust them more. So I will take Uconn. Back up to the top, though, St. John's versus Xavier. Can Xavier pretty much solidify, if they haven't already, their tournament spot? Unfortunately, I think St. John's is just a little too much here. I mean, they have the second-best defense in the country. They've been hammering this every team in this conference all season, and I just think they have too much. I mean, this team, this roster is just so stacked. R.J. Lewis Jr., averaging 18 a game. Kadari Richmond's an amazing player. Ejiofor, I mean, I don't know, man. They've won 6 in a row. They've barely lost all season. They have been a consistent team. Against Xavier this season, I believe they swept them. I could see Xavier winning again. They're playing very good right now. And honestly, come tournament time, I'm not sure what to do with St. John's. But in this setting, playing at home as well, I don't know, man. It's hard for me not to pick them. I mean, they have one of the best turnover differentials. They're a top 10 offensive rebounding team in the country. They played at fast pace, surprisingly, even though they're the second best defense in the country, and they're going to want to grind out games. I don't think Xavier can really. I think St. John's will be able to control the pace, and I think they'll be fine. Again, though, I do worry tournament time just because they're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams of a high seed, so that definitely does concern me. But I think defensively, it's hard to see them getting upset, to be honest. But just ceiling wise, Creighton versus Uconn at the bottom. This one I was really back and forth on. Creighton ranks 32nd in Torvik compared to Uconn at 34. Both these teams tend to turn it over a lot. Uconn plays at a slower pace compared to Creighton at a little bit of a faster pace. Creighton shoots the three better. Creighton also, both these teams love to get into the paint and get big. I think Creighton has the best player of all of the big men in this game, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. They have the number one 2-point percentage in the country, a top 10 2-point defense. And again, Uconn is top 15 in both of those as well. But Creighton, I think, is the more well-rounded team. I think defensively they're much better than Uconn. I don't like picking against Uconn, but I mean this season they just really haven't been that strong. So I'll take Creighton. But then in the championship game, St. John's versus Creighton, this one could go either way. I mean Creighton did beat them earlier this season, but in the most recent matchup, St. John's did get their revenge. I just think St. John's is playing too well right now, and I think they have too much. I think they're clearly the best team in the Big East. I mean, what is Creighton going to get? Or Marquette? Marquette might get a 5 at best. Creighton is probably going to get a 7 at best. Uconn will get an 8 or a 9. St. John's is in the 2 seed, 3 seed territory. I just think St. John's is clearly better. If I'm being honest, again, I worry tournament time. Their ceiling because the shooting is terrible, and they could lose to Xavier if Marquette gets there. I could see Marquette actually. If Marquette does get there, I really could see Marquette winning because St. John's has beat them twice in 2 very close games. I could see Marquette if Marquette beats Xavier. I could see Marquette getting to the championship game, and I think that would be very interesting. Actually, if Marquette beats Xavier, I'd probably take Marquette to beat St. John's. But I think in this format, what I'm predicting, I think St. John's does win the conference. And with that win, they may or may not be in the 2 seed range. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But let me know in the comments what you have for this tournament. What you agree, what you disagree, who's in your finals, dark horses, anything down there. I would love to converse and talk down there. It's always fun. But that is going to do it. Make sure you subscribe, like this video if you enjoyed. Check out our most recent videos as well as stay tuned. You're going to want to turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss that. We're trying to have 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so if you could subscribe if you enjoyed, that'd be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. But with all that being said, that's going to do it for the Big East. And yeah, we'll see you guys very, very soon with the Big Ten predictions. That's going to be a fun one. Make sure you stay tuned for that one.